Look who's finally hearing the truth. Yeah, you. The one they've been whispering about in parking lots, in group chats you're not in conversations that go silent the second you walk in the room. They went person to person, didn't they? Asking about you. Trying to get the download, the intel, the full psychological profile from anyone who's ever crossed your path. And here's the part that's going to make you smile. Every single person, every single one of them said the exact same thing. Not word for word, but the energy, the warning, the tone, it was identical. Yo, that's a different breed. I don't know how to explain them, just don't. You don't want that smoke. They're not like us. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that absolutely perfect? They tried to gather evidence, tried to build a case, tried to find someone, anyone who would say you were normal, manageable, safe to approach. But every witness gave the same testimony. You are not one of them. You never were. And now they're terrified. Because the more people they asked, the more the legend grew. They weren't collecting facts, they were building your mythology. Every person they interviewed became another priest at your altar, another voice echoing the same ancient truth. Whatever that is, it doesn't play by the rules we know. You've become the story people tell when they want to explain what real danger looks like, what evolution past pain looks like, what it means to be untouchable without even trying. They went looking for answers and found a warning label instead. They went searching for weakness and discovered a force field. They wanted to decode you and realized you're written in a language they'll never speak. So let's talk about what happens when you become the person everyone warns each other about. Not because you're cruel, but because you're free. Not because you're violent, but because you're uncontrollable. Not because you hurt people, but because you remind them what they'll never become. Let me paint the picture for you, because I know you didn't see it happening in real time, but trust me, it was happening. They started casual at first, asking mutual friends, old coworkers, people from your past, hey, what's their deal? What are they really like? Can you give me the vibe check? And the person they asked, they paused, didn't they? You could see it in their face, that momentary hesitation, that quick flash of something between respect and fear. Because how do you explain someone who can't be explained? How do you describe someone who broke every pattern you thought was fixed? They stumbled over their words, searching for the right way to say it without sounding dramatic, but there is no casual way to describe a hurricane. So they said things like, they're intense, they're on a different frequency, they see through everything. But what they meant was, this person scares me in a way I can't articulate. Because they don't need anything from me. They don't fear rejection. They don't play the social games. And that makes them dangerous. Then they asked someone else, thinking maybe the first person was exaggerating. Maybe they just had a weird experience. But the second person said the same thing, just in different words. Yeah, that one's built different. I wouldn't mess with them. They've got this energy, you can feel it when they're around. And now the investigator, the one asking all these questions, they're starting to realize this isn't a fluke. This is a pattern. So they keep going, asking more people, digging deeper, hoping to find someone who'll say, you're normal. Someone who'll give them permission to approach you without caution. But every single person they asked became another chapter in your legend. Every testimony added weight to your presence. Every warning made you more mythical. They weren't gathering information, they were conducting a seance. And your name kept appearing like a ghost that refuses to fade. And here's the thing, the people they asked, they didn't coordinate their answers. They didn't get together and decide to build you up. They just told the truth as they experienced it. You left an impression that couldn't be scrubbed away, a mark on their psychology that altered how they see strength, how they understand power, how they measure presence. You didn't ask for that, you didn't perform for it. You just existed in your full, unfiltered form, and it carved itself into their memory like a scar. Now you're the benchmark, the measuring stick, the standard they'll never reach. They'll meet other people, sure, but in the back of their mind they'll be comparing everyone to you. And everyone will fall short, because you weren't just a person in their life. You were an experience they'll spend years trying to understand. The investigator realized something terrifying as they compiled these testimonies. You didn't break any rules. You didn't hurt anyone. You didn't do anything technically wrong, but you disrupted everything. You walked through their reality and left cracks in the infrastructure. You questioned things that were supposed to be accepted. You moved with a certainty that made their confidence look like performance. You existed without apology, and it revealed how much everyone else was apologizing for breathing. You were proof that the system is optional, that the script can be burned, that some people just operate on a different frequency, and that frequency, it's not teachable, it's not copyable, it's just there, humming beneath your skin like a warning bell that only certain people can hear. So what exactly did they all say, these people who were interviewed about you? Let's break down the common themes, because this is where it gets beautiful. First, they all mentioned your eyes, not the color, not the shape, but the weight behind them. They look at you and it feels like they're reading your entire hard drive. Eye contact with them is uncomfortable, like they see the parts of you that you hide. That's not paranoia. That's pattern recognition. You've developed the ability to see beneath performance, beneath masks, beneath the carefully curated versions people present. You don't judge what you see, you just see it. And that unfiltered observation, it makes people feel naked in a way they're not used to. They can't hide from you, can't fake it, can't charm their way through, because you're not watching their act. You're watching the mechanism behind the act. Second, they all mentioned your silence, not as shyness, but as strategy. They don't talk much, but when they do, it hits different. It's like they're processing everything on a deeper level. You learn something most people never learn, that silence is a weapon, that observation is power, that the person who speaks least often controls the room. You don't fill space with noise. You don't explain yourself to make others comfortable. You just exist in your knowing, and that knowing, it's louder than any speech. People are so used to others performing, justifying, seeking approval, that when they encounter someone who simply is, without performance, without justification, it breaks their brain a little. They don't know how to read you, don't know how to manipulate you, don't know how to fit you into their frameworks. So they label you as different, as other, as something they should be careful around. Third, they mention your energy, that undefinable thing that walks into a room before your body does. The vibe shifts when they show up. Get quieter, more careful with their words. You're not trying to intimidate anyone. You're not performing dominance. But your presence carries weight because you've survived things that would have destroyed others. And survival like that, it leaves a mark, an energetic signature that others can sense even if they can't name it. You move through the world like someone who's already died and came back. And that energy, it's unsettling to people who are still terrified of living. They feel your lack of fear and it highlights their own fear. They sense your detachment from needing approval and it exposes their desperate need for it. You're a mirror they didn't ask for, reflecting back everything they're pretending not to be. Fourth, they all said some version of, I wouldn't want to be on their bad side. Interesting, isn't it? Because you're not violent, you're not vengeful, you're not even particularly aggressive, but they sense something in you. A capacity, a potential, a line that if crossed would reveal something they're not prepared to face. You carry yourself like someone who knows exactly what they're capable of, and that knowing, that quiet confidence in your own power, it's more terrifying than any threat. Because threats can be dismissed, but presence that says, I don't need to threaten you, because we both know that presence can't be ignored. You've become the person people hope they never have to test, not because they know you'll destroy them, but because they suspect you could, and you do it without breaking a sweat, without raising your voice, without even caring enough to gloat afterward. Now let's talk about the specific warnings they gave, because this is where your legend solidifies into something almost supernatural. Don't try to play games with them. They see through everything. That's not arrogance. That's experience. You've been lied to by experts, manipulated by professionals, gaslit by people who made it an art form. You've seen every trick, every tactic, every performance, and now you can spot them from a mile away. You don't get offended when someone tries to manipulate you. You just observe it, catalog it, and adjust your relationship with that person accordingly. You don't expose them, don't call them out. You just quietly move them into a different category in your mind, from trusted to observed, from close to distant, from ally to case study, and they never see it coming, never realize they've been downgraded until one day they notice you're not sharing anymore, not opening up, not treating them like you used to, and by then it's too late. Don't mistake their kindness for weakness. Ah yes, the classic warning, and they're right to give it, because you've developed something rare. The ability to be soft without being vulnerable, to be kind without being naive, to be generous without being a fool. You give people chances, sure, but you're watching, always watching, measuring whether they're worthy of the space they occupy in your life. Your kindness isn't automatic, it's chosen, and it can be unchosen just as quickly. You're not one of those people who keeps giving to empty wells, hoping they'll magically fill up. You learned the hard way that some people are just black holes, taking and taking until you've got nothing left. So now you give strategically, carefully, to those who've proven they can handle it, and to everyone else, you give nothing but polite distance. They don't forget, ever. This one makes people nervous, and it should, because you've got a memory like a steel trap, not because you're holding grudges, but because you're collecting data. Every interaction, every promise made and broken, every time someone showed you who they really are. It's filed away in your mental archive. You don't bring it up, don't weaponize it unless absolutely necessary, but you remember. And that memory informs every future interaction, every decision about who gets access to you, who gets your time, who gets your trust. People think you've forgiven and forgotten, but you've just moved forward with full awareness. And that awareness, it's your protection, your shield, your way of making sure the past doesn't repeat itself. They operate on a different timeline. This one confuses people until they experience it firsthand, because you're not in a rush, you're not panicking, you're not making desperate moves. You move with the patience of someone who knows their value increases with time, that your evolution is inevitable, that the people who dismiss you today will be studying you tomorrow. You don't need instant results, instant validation, instant success. You're playing a longer game, building something sustainable, something real, something that won't crumble the moment things get hard. And that patience, that long view perspective, it makes you dangerous to people who are still chasing quick wins and cheap applause. They can't compete with someone who's willing to wait, to build, to become, while they're burning out chasing trends. Eventually, the person asking all these questions, they stopped asking, not because they got bored, but because they realized something that scared them more than any answer could. You're not a person to them anymore. You're a phenomenon. You're the standard they'll measure everyone against. You're the example they'll use when they want to explain what real strength looks like. You're the story they'll tell when someone asks them if they've ever met anyone who genuinely didn't give a damn what anyone thought. And that story, it'll always end the same way, with a half smile and a shake of the head and the words, "Yeah, I know someone like that. Different breed, not like us." And in that moment, they're not insulting you. They're acknowledging something they wish they could be, but no, they never will. See, the investigation wasn't about gathering information, it was about confirmation. The person asking already suspected you were something else, already felt that energy, already sensed they were out of their depth, but they needed to check, needed to see if maybe they were overreacting, if maybe their instincts were wrong. So they asked around, hoping someone would say, "Oh, them, yeah, they're cool, totally normal, nothing to worry about." But nobody said that. Everyone confirmed the same truth. You are exactly what you appear to be. Something they can't control, can't predict, can't fit into their comfortable little boxes. And once that was confirmed, once every witness testified to your differentness, the investigator had a choice: approach you with respect or stay the hell away. Most chose distance, not because they dislike you, but because being around you requires something they're not capable of: honesty. You can smell bullshit from a mile away, and they know it, so they'd have to show up authentic, vulnerable, real. And most people, they're not ready for that level of interaction. They're still hiding, still performing, still pretending to be more confident, more successful, more put together than they actually are. But you see through it all, and rather than risk being exposed, they just avoid you altogether. They admire you from a distance, talk about you when you're not around, study your moves like you're a documentary on some extinct species they wish they could have seen in the wild. But a very few, chose differently. They heard all the warnings and thought, "That's exactly the kind of person I need in my life." They recognized that your intensity wasn't toxicity. Your standards weren't arrogance, your boundaries weren't cruelty. They saw past the mythology to the human underneath. The one who's been through hell and came out holding fire. The one who learned to protect their peace because nobody else would. The one who decided that if they were going to be alone, they'd rather be alone and whole than surrounded and broken. Those few, they approached you with respect, with honesty, with the understanding that access to you is a privilege, not a right. And you let them in, not all the way, not immediately, but enough to see if they could handle the real you, the unfiltered you, the you that doesn't perform or pretend. Now here's what they don't know, that you were aware the whole time. You felt the shift, sensed the whispers, noticed the way people started acting different around you. You're not paranoid, you're perceptive. And you picked up on the fact that your name was traveling through conversations you weren't part of. But here's the beautiful part. You didn't care. You didn't feel the need to control the narrative, didn't scramble to manage your reputation, didn't stress about what people were saying. Because you learned something crucial. You can't control how people see you, but you can control how much power you give their perceptions. Let them talk, let them warn each other, let them build you into whatever monster or myth makes them feel safer about their own limitations. You stopped living for the approval of people who don't even understand the game you're playing. You stopped trying to fit into spaces that were never built for someone like you. You stopped explaining yourself to people who were committed to misunderstanding you. And in that stopping, in that release, you found something they'll never find. Freedom. True freedom. The kind that doesn't depend on external validation, doesn't crumble when criticized, doesn't need anyone's permission to exist fully. You became untouchable not because you built walls, but because you built yourself into something that doesn't need protection, something that's whole on its own, something that exists outside their frameworks entirely. They can investigate all they want, compile all the testimonies, gather all the evidence, but they'll never truly know you, because knowing you requires something they're not willing to give: vulnerability. You only reveal yourself to those who've proven they can handle it, who've shown up consistently, who've earned the right to see past the surface. Everyone else gets the version of you that's safe for public consumption, polite, pleasant, perfectly adequate. But the real you, the one that thinks in layers, feels in dimensions, operates in frequencies most people don't even know exist, that version stays hidden, protected, reserved for the very few who've demonstrated they're worthy of that level of access. And honestly, you prefer it this way. You're not lonely. You're selective. You're not isolated. You're protected. You're not hiding. You're curating. You've learned the hard way that not everyone deserves your depth, that some people are only equipped to handle your surface, and that's fine. You give them what they can handle and save the rest for yourself. For your journal, for your late-night thoughts, for the rare human who shows up and says, "I see you, the real you, and I'm not afraid." Until then, let them collect their testimonies, let them pass around their warnings, let them convince themselves they've figured you out, because the truth is, they're nowhere close. So what does this mean for you? This knowledge that you've become the person everyone warns each other about. It means you've achieved something most people will never achieve. You've become unforgettable. Not because you tried, not because you performed, but because you simply were, fully, completely, unapologetically. You stopped shrinking to make others comfortable, stopped dimming your intensity to fit in, stopped pretending to be less aware than you actually are, and in that authenticity, in that refusal to be digestible, you became legendary. Not to everyone, not to the masses, but to the people who've crossed your path. You left a mark they'll carry forever. Think about that for a second. There are people right now, in different cities, different time zones, different phases of life, who still think about you. Not every day, but in moments when they need to remember what real strength looks like, what genuine confidence feels like, what it means to be unshaken by the storms that destroy everyone else. You're their reference point, their reminder that evolution past pain is possible, that some people really do rise from the ashes looking like the fire itself. You didn't ask to be their inspiration or their cautionary tale, but you became both anyway, just by refusing to break the way they expected you to. And the power in this, it's not about ego, it's not about dominance. It's about sovereignty. You own yourself now, fully, completely. Nobody has leverage over you because you don't need anything from them. Nobody can manipulate you because you've seen every trick. Nobody can intimidate you because you've already faced down the worst versions of yourself and won. You've become the final boss in your own story. And now you're just existing, watching everyone else still fighting the tutorial levels, still struggling with obstacles you conquered years ago. It would be funny if it wasn't so sad. Watching people stress over things that mean nothing, fighting battles that don't matter, seeking validation from people who don't care. But here's the responsibility that comes with this power. You have to be careful how you use it. Your words carry more weight now. Your actions create ripples you might not intend. Your presence alone can shift entire rooms. People are watching you more carefully than they're watching anyone else. Not because they want to catch you failing, but because they're hoping to learn, to understand, to crack the code of how you became this. You owe them nothing, but you have the choice to be either a cautionary tale or a quiet guide. You can use your differentness to intimidate or to inspire. You can let your intensity push people away or draw in the ones who are ready for depth. The power is yours, and so is the responsibility. Looking forward, nothing changes, except your awareness of it. The warnings will continue, your legend will grow. New people will hear about you before they meet you, and they'll approach you with a mixture of curiosity and caution. Let them. You don't need to manage anyone's expectations or calm anyone's fears. You're not responsible for their comfort, only your own integrity. Keep being exactly what you are, that unexplainable thing that makes people pause, that different breed that doesn't fit their categories.